We talked earlier about the scene when things were becoming a bit rough between you and Mike, and you lashed out at him. It's my favorite scene in the whole thing. But when I was coming up with the questions to ask you about this Q&A, some people, maybe rumors, said that that part of the film was staged. It wasn't, was it?
The whole point was to show him that it's one take. It wasn't staged. I mean, we were arguing that he has to have 20 to 1, and I said, I'm shooting 5 to 1 or 3 to 1, and if you rehearse it properly, you don't need to do it. But that wasn't staged.
No.
I walked down, and he was there with the camera, and he listened to the tape I'd left him the night before, and they had to beep out a few of the, you know, but that wasn't staged. No way.
Right.
Nothing was staged. It was all strictly an honest film from beginning to end.
Yeah.
Because Mike Rubo would, and the last thing he'd ever,
so good.
He'd never agree with what, and I wouldn't, to his staging.
No.
Because it's not,
it's documentary.
It's not straight.
Exactly. What's your favorite part of Waiting for Fidel?
Favorite part?
Your favorite?
Well, I enjoyed the part where I'm trying to point out to Joe that the whole point of the free enterprise system is to free our children for their childhood, not to put them in factories. And not only that, but the factories are building one machine. I mean, can make 1,000 or 1,000,000 baseballs, and he's going to put people in there doing them by hand. Well, he didn't understand the free enterprise system. He just doesn't understand. For example, 19 men created the National Football League, which today it hires hundreds of thousands of people, brings billions of dollars into the economy. If you just have the Super Bowl, it brings 50 or 60 million to your town. And it was started by 19 men. Well, the same with the hockey league and the, you know, but that's how the free enterprise system works.
Yeah.
It frees you to get power. The socialists stop you. You're not allowed to own land. You're not allowed to own machinery. And you work for the state. So there's no incentive. I mean, it's a,
well, you're made to go to work
it's a terrifying feeling in Cuba in that sense, because you know if you criticize Castro, you're jeopardizing your job and you're jeopardizing the family.
In your life.
Well, yeah.
What were some of your most memorable moments that weren't caught on camera, or, you know, down in Cuba?
Scenes that didn't come on.
Yeah.
We filmed everything, like here. I film everything. Yeah. Every interview I have, I'm filming it. So anybody that comes to my office, it's filmed. Because then you get away from the saying that you said the intent, here's what was said, here's the big screen. And I do it with everybody.
Proof, right there.
I did it with Joey. I got hours and hours in his office where I'm quite questioning him about heaven and hell and everything else I could think of. That's
great. I'd like to see that. I tell you.
No, don't worry, buddy. If you stay up late enough.
Oh, yes. What do you plan to do with the extra footage? Well, I already asked that question.
What I plan to do?
Yeah.
Well, it's...
Like a 3-hour cut?
It's another project. I mean, I've done one, and we've shown it, and we've condensed it into that. But it's another project. I'm on to finding the missing link in the Andes now, and a lot of
You got a lot of projects on the go.
I've got a lot of interesting stuff coming down.
Do you want to talk about any of that? Or do you want to just keep it as a mystery until we get there?
We're taking it very carefully.
Yeah, that's probably a good thing.
See, at the 18,000-foot level in the Andes, there's a lake, a huge lake, like 10 miles long. And the divers, in only the last 3 months, have found at 200 feet temples bigger than the Vatican.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, it's just beginning to be explored. To get there is a heck of a trip.
Oh, yeah.
You get to Lima, and then you got 8 hours on a little bus, it's like India.
And how old are these temples?
Pardon?
How old are they?
How old?
Yeah.
They have no idea.
No.
It goes back, see, that was the only part of South America not conquered by the Spanish.
Right.
They didn't even know that it existed. I mean, you know, 18,000 feet in the Andes, I mean, it's a tremendous trip to get there. Believe me.
Jeez. I'm going to ask you a film question about, you know, in Newfoundland of late, we've had some great films coming out and TV shows, Random Passage, Rear Birds. how do you feel about the progress of the Newfoundland film industry?
Well, I think it's unlimited. I mean, first of all, it excites the Hollywood people by the ruggedness of the terrain, and the location is different. And you got 5 major airports, so people with their own jets can come in, and you got 2 international airports. And you've got friendly and happy people, and it's safe. I mean, right now, the big thing in everybody's mind is it safe to go there?
Yeah.
And Newfoundland is as safe as you're ever going to find it, you know.
That's why I'm still here.
Well, it's going to be an exciting time, because Leo Fury has done a heck of a good job. I mean, give him full marks. You know, he's increased from a few $100,000 to millions to bring in this kind of thing.
Yeah.
And if we had a casino at the Civic Center, we'd save another $50 million going out of the province.
And so the film industry is a positive one, and it's going
because
places.
I think we can use films, Roger, to break down prejudice, to make people realize that...
For the greater good.
Yeah. I mean, it's a big industry to save that $50 million. That's $1 million a week.
Oh, yeah. What's your advice to other independent artists and filmmakers?
Get a good script, but most importantly, have a casting director who knows what he's doing, because it's everything in the casting.
What do you hope to see in the future? Or what do you hope to accomplish next? I mean, well, you've created, you know, NTV, Oz FM. This is
we did 15 radio stations in the States. But what we're doing now is saying, look, we've got to build a computer like we've got here, and we've got to make it so we can drop in at 3 in the morning and we can bring in the film we shot during the day, and we can edit it into film. We've got to it's inexpensive. We've got to get rid of the tremendous waste of money that people use.
Knowing what you know now, with over the years of, you know, be able to think of making the film in retrospect, if you were to go back to Cuba, would your questions to Fidel be the same? Because I know Joey had a book full of questions. Would your questions still be the same?
Joey had 190 questions. Well, no, I wouldn't have the same questions at all. Joey's questions were pro-communist. I would say, look, as I did to this one guy, I said, look, when you educate your masses, when they come up from being illiterate, and suddenly they're literate, and suddenly they want freedom, they want to be able to select who the government is. And if you're smart, you'll have a free election. Well, that's when, as you see me arguing at the university steps with these people, and they're saying this is a democracy of the people. And I'm saying to them, well, go to the radio station and question something Fidel has done and see what happens. You think it's a democracy? Try it.
If somebody was to write a biography on you, who would it be?
Who would it be?
Yeah, who would you like to...
Well, you know, I always feel about biographies, and Joey used to read nothing but biographies. You know, I mean, I think that you got to be pretty egocentric to think that a book about you is going to be read.
Yeah.
When I first got back from the Himalayas the first time, after being up there in the monasteries and being in the King's Chamber, the Great Pyramid, and being in Stonehenge and a number of places, I wrote a book and only sold it in India.
Right.
And it was sold for, I think, 35 cents.
What was it called?
In Search. Like Gurdjieff did, In Search of the Miraculous. This was In Search of the New Age. And I printed it, and it sold, and I gave about 10 copies to friends, and I don't believe one of them read it. They might have read the first chapter.
Right.
But
you got to look at yourself. I mean, you created all this.
Right.
You did.
Yeah.
So, you know, people, and I think people are, whether you want it to happen or not, I think there probably will be a biography written at some point.
I don't take life too seriously. I believe in reincarnation, as you know. And that means that we're here again. And 2/3 of the planet believe in it. It's a given.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's a given. And so once you see life that way, you're more inclined to maintain your sense of humor.
Yeah.
You know, you don't lose sight of here we are, do unto others. I mean, Christ said it all. Do unto others as you have others do unto you, and be positive. Well, if you're positive, you have a much better life than if you're constantly thinking of ways to be negative. A CBC guy said one day, it's positive to be negative. I mean, I said, I don't know where you're coming from, buddy, but it's not in the same room with me. You know, positive to be negative. That guy.
Would you consider going back to Cuba to do a sequel? I know we already touched on it.
It would be fascinating to go back to Cuba. The other night I talked to Cuba because they have, as you know, only one television station, but they can pick up the mainland of my southern Florida, and they ran Fidel. I gave them permission, and I didn't see. I mean, to go back at the present time is going to be to have that stamped on your passport is going to give you a problem getting into the
United States, yeah,
and particularly now when they have the home defense.
Even if there was a documentary tied into it, you know, to shoot the sequel.
Oh boy, I mean, I found the great enjoyment being able to talk to the students, but they couldn't speak English well enough, and I couldn't speak Spanish well enough and they weren't about to talk about Fidel in a negative, in not a negative way, but an objective way. And I didn't want to embarrass them, but I've been thinking about it, but I don't see what we can add, because as long as the American sanctions are on, he has no hope of coming out of this.
No.
If he held elections and made Senator Helms happy, suddenly you'd have a whole different attitude. And I don't see why he doesn't. Why not have an election and prove once and for all whether your system, which you've given, 30 years to, is satisfactory to the people? It's like giving land to Newfoundlanders. I've tried to sell Joey years ago.
Right.
Why can't you have 10 acres? Well, it's a great idea, but it never happened. Well, it won't happen until you're in government and you believe in it. It should happen.
And you do it.
And do it. I mean, they're doing it in India. I just came back from India where they were giving 11 acres to anybody who wants it. And Joey, with 1 billion people, and Joey's arguing it's a big deal with 500 people, 500,000 to do it.
Let alone you started off university, giving everybody to go for free.
Yeah.
But I think that's a great idea.
It is a great idea. I got lots of ideas that they're not likely to accept in this reincarnation.
Well, that's all the questions I have.
Oh, well, that's great.
Well, thanks very much for your time.
You're welcome, buddy.